From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
This is Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Tuesday, September 27th. Some cooler temps will trend through the middle part of the week with highs still in the mid-60s. Dry and sunny. We should see temperatures trend slightly warmer through the end of the week with highs in the upper 60s to near 70 through Friday.
Badge was the woman of my dreams. A woman who could be treated and talked to in awful ways for 8 hours a day at work and could still come home and laugh and be so kind-hearted.
As strong as she was willing to fight, she loved her people even stronger.
I am honored and proud. Excuse me. To have had the opportunity to call you my partner and my best friend.
I was honored. And I was honored to be your bonus mom.
And friends are remembering the life of Richmond Police Officer Seara Burton. Burton was laid to rest yesterday, nearly 6 weeks after being shot in the line of duty. A procession for Burton began in Richmond before ending at her final resting place at Crown Hill Cemetery. News 8's Adam Pinsker was there as community members shared their final goodbyes.
Hundreds of vehicles took part in the procession from Richmond, 70 miles into Indianapolis to Crown Hill Cemetery, the final resting place for 28-year-old Richmond police officer Seara Burton. With her canine partner leading the way, Richmond police officer Seara Burton was laid to rest Monday evening in a section of Crown Hill Cemetery reserved for law enforcement officers who gave the ultimate sacrifice.
Very emotional right now. We just said goodbye to a fine, well-respected police officer.
Though she was only on the force for 40 years, Burton fulfilled a lifelong dream of becoming a police officer. She was admired for fighting to stay alive after being severely wounded in the line of duty August 10th. Burton lost that battle on September 18th.
You said that you were present at the prayer vigil. That was 2 days after Seara was shot. I think you got to see firsthand what kind of a community that we had. I couldn't be prouder of the community support throughout this entire thing.
That support included law enforcement from around the country. Agencies from Ohio, Texas, New York, and Oregon were at the ceremony, along with the Elwood Police Department, which buried one of its own officers in the same cemetery last month from a line of duty death.
It's a great reminder that we are a nationwide family. We really are. We see officers from other jurisdictions. And
following the ceremony, a private burial was held for Seara Burton with her family. Adam Pinsker, Wish TV,
Three men
WishTV.com,
accused in the deadly home invasion of a
Facebook.
pregnant wife and mother is sentenced to 25 years in jail. A judge accepted a plea deal for Deanna Gordon yesterday. According to the Marion County Prosecutor's Office, Gordon agreed to aid in the prosecution against Larry Taylor Jr. in return for a reduced sentence. The court found Taylor guilty in Amanda Blackburn's murder last week. Blackburn was shot and killed inside her home in November of 2015. Police arrested Gordon, Taylor, and Jalen Watson for the crime. Watson has been in jail since 2017 when he pleaded guilty to burglary with a deadly weapon. Taylor is set to be sentenced on October 14th. The Subaru plant in Lafayette is back to normal operations this morning after a shooting there. Police say a man shot a woman, then killed himself. The woman is wounded but survived. Investigators are not giving specifics about their connection other than to say they have a personal past. Both worked at the plant just off I-65 and State Road 38. The shooting happened just after 4:15 yesterday afternoon. The plant shut down until police found the suspect. At least one abortion clinic manager says women are confused on whether they can receive the procedure. The most recent uncertainty comes after the Indiana Attorney General's office asked the State Court of Appeals to reinstate the recently passed near-total abortion ban. Special Judge Kelsey Hanlon issued a preliminary injunction on the ban last week as its constitutionality is argued. Abortion clinics immediately started reopening their doors. Jessica Marchbank is the state programs manager for All Options. She says her organization has been taking more than triple the calls than it was at the beginning of the year. The appeals court says that the ACLU now has until October 3rd to issue a response before a decision is made. And the Justice Department has submitted a revised list of items seized from the Florida estate of former President Donald Trump. The agency describes revisions as minor and says the list represents everything taken. The list comes at the request of the special master assigned to oversee the case. After Trump implied the FBI planted evidence during the search, Judge Raymond Dearie asked for a full and accurate inventory list. A first look at a film that members of Congress were eager to see. The Congressional Committee investigating the January 6th riot now has sections of a documentary produced by a Danish crew. It's called A Storm Foretold. Filming started years before the insurrection and in part follows longtime Trump ally Roger Stone. At various points, Stone says that Trump should declare victory no matter the vote count and calls for violence against the opposition. Stone says the film has been manipulated and selectively edited. The House Select Committee reached an agreement with the filmmakers to see the documentary. The producers say the FBI wants it too, but does not yet have it. This morning, protesters gathered outside the state funeral for former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Abe was shot and killed during a campaign speech in July. His funeral has been marked by public opposition to the event's cost. Japan says it's expected to cost taxpayers about 1.7 billion yen, or 12 million American dollars. Several leaders from other countries attended the service, including Vice President Kamala Harris. And Harris's Asian tour is set to continue with a visit to the demilitarized zone of the Republic of Korea on Thursday. The VP's visit is focused on underscoring the strength of the U.S. alliance with the Republic. She's scheduled to tour different sites, meet with service members, and receive an operational briefing from U.S. commanders. And the White House is vowing support for Ukraine. This as what the White House calls sham voting is underway to annex Russian-occupied territories in the country. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says the United States is promising swift action if Russia tries to follow through with the annexation. Jean-Pierre calls the referendum a flagrant violation of international law and says that the White House is prepared to impose additional sanctions on Russia. And even before it hits Florida, Hurricane Ian is causing problems. Trips are being canceled to the state and locals are evacuating. The hurricane made landfall in Cuba this morning. Our meteorologist Marcus Bailey has been watching the storm's path and did an extensive report on Daybreak this morning.
Strongest hurricane that's hit the western edge of Cuba since 2017. You mentioned it made landfall shortly after 4:30 this morning as a Cat 3, 125 mile per hour winds. So it's only 5 miles per hour away from upgrading to a Category 4 storm and a very well-defined eye. So there is still very organized structure going on here as the eye is now starting to get on the northern coast of Cuba, which means probably within the next couple of hours, the center of this storm will be back over open water here, and you're going to start to see this rapid intensification of this storm, of Ian, as we start going through the day today. We're still getting wave heights up to 19 feet on the south end of Cuba on the western side, and even on the north end, where that eye wall now is rolling through 15 feet in terms of wave heights. So some significant storm surge going on the west end of the island there. But again, this is going to intensify. There's several factors that are going to go in, one of them being the very warm and open water that's going to be in the Gulf here, where we've got sea surface temperatures well into the 80s. So it's very warm water to help kind of drive the intensification of this storm. Most recent update from the National Hurricane Center does have hurricane warnings, including the central portions of western Florida. That includes the city of Tampa. And then you can see, obviously, the western half of Cuba, even Key West included in a hurricane warning as of right now. This is the new track just released from the National Hurricane Center. Not much change. The track here from the last update just a couple of hours ago, anticipated to become a Category 4 storm probably later on this afternoon, and remains a Cat 4 storm through early tomorrow morning. It may weaken a bit as it gets closer to the Florida coastline, but we're thinking this probably gets very close to Tampa as a Cat 3 storm, would be the strongest to hit Tampa if this is a direct hit and holds to this forecast in nearly 60 years, sometime late Wednesday night into very early Thursday morning. Obviously, wind's going to be a huge concern. This is the forecast wind potential here, taking you into Wednesday. Category 2 or 3 winds out to sea, but but likely at least Cat 1 or Cat 2 as it approaches the shoreline of Tampa. That's going to be a huge issue. Storm surge, and then this storm will actually slow down significantly late week, and so flooding rains will then become a problem. So a lot to watch for here over the coming days on the Gulf Coast of Florida.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.